On this spring morning as we gather, it's wholesome in the heartland, exuberant in the east, wistful in the west, and sunny in the south. Our country's slowly up and moving again after months of being halted. On this morning's show, let's get grounded, let's get moving, and let's get going. But first, let's get up. It's your time for Together TV. And good morning, I'm Todd Barnes, here to remind you this morning, you can. Today I share with viewers a little bit about my personal journey in television, and in 2-Minute Manna, we'll explore aspects of a good friend to the Christian religion, the Muslim faith. We'll review some letters from Together villagers, and we'll chat about the issues of the day. So, let's get up. You know, when I was young, I wanted to be a television journalist, but instead of pursuing my dream, I took a 30-year detour because I thought because I was gay and a person of color, I couldn't pursue my dream. I came up in the 1980s in a nation that was driven by affirmative action, which meant all any business needed was one or a few tokens of color, so they thought, to get the job done. Now, coming out of the closet in the 1980s, that was a much scarier notion. But I did come out of the closet in the 1980s, and at the same time, locked away my longtime dream of becoming a newscaster. Well, that was until 2005. You know, we used to live in a nation with a very select group of gatekeepers. There were only a few ever chosen to do anything of notoriety or public significance. Today, I explore what life used to look like with only a limited number of gatekeepers and the new era in which we live, which is best summed up at Together TV as I can. When I graduated from high school, if you wanted to write a book, you had to send a manuscript off to a handful of publishers where you hoped against hope you'd be part of a chosen few. If you wanted to work in national news, there were 3 major television networks, ABC, CBS, and NBC. If you wanted local news, like in the Twin Cities where I was at the time, there were only channels 4, 5, 9, and 11. Even last week, we saw the openly gay Twin Cities Care 11 meteorologist Sven Sundgaard summarily fired from his job at Care 11 because of a purported retweet. I ended up achieving my dream in 2005 when I became the first person of color, or at least one of a very few, to ever own a television show on a Twin Cities network affiliate, Care 11, at the time the #1 rated television station and the 14th largest media market in the nation. We raised the money to purchase the block of time from Care 11 at a rate of $7,000 per week. My co-anchor and co-owner Andrea Cannon and I raised the money from Health East Care Systems, Women Venture, and other tremendous organizations. Our show was called Minnesota Ingredients. It aired Sunday mornings from the Minneapolis-St. Paul Farmers Market, and we consistently beat Fox News Sunday in the ratings, and we used to tie with CCO. Well, today, if you want to write a book, you can self-publish. If you want to be a news anchor, you can create, produce, distribute, and even monetize your own TV show. If you want to be a rapper, you can release a new video each week to millions. If you want to be an actor, you can write, direct, and star in your own play. If you're curious about something, you can produce your own documentary. Or if you're feeling really adventurous, technology now allows you to shoot a cinematic movie with your iPhone. If you want to be a newspaper reporter, you can start your own blog. If you want to be a restaurateur, you can buy your own food truck. If you want to be a nurse, you can make almost $100,000 a year as a traveling nurse in the United States, often with first-class housing paid for. And if you want to be a doctor, you can grow your hair out, buy a diploma online, and make it to the White House. A major theme of this show is you can. Well, now I've shared my story with you that the theme of this show is born out of my prior lifetime of saying I can't. I can't be a news anchor because I'm gay. I can't be a politician because I used to act like a whore. I can't be a business owner because I'm a crappy money manager. I can't succeed because I'm an addict. Well, today, I've found my purpose, passion, and peace. It stems from two words: I can. The goal of doing Together TV is to help others find their purpose, passion, and peace so that nobody ever has to have one day, or like me, 3 decades robbed because the voices in my head believed the limited gatekeepers who used to control the voices in the room, who wanted many of us to believe I can't instead of I can. So it's for these reasons that Together TV is born, and Together TV will stay so that every woman, person of color, differently abled person, GLBTQ, redhead, crackhead, methhead, deadhead, or meathead, always has a place to turn to be told, you can. Todd Barnes, reporting. Now, I'm wondering if you've had any dreams that you've put on ice that you still could pursue. I'm wondering if there are still seeds planted in you by the Almighty Creator that are just bursting to come out. If you have a dream that you'd love to resuscitate, we'd love to know about it here at Together TV. So shoot me an email, todd@toddbarnesreporting.com, and tell me about your dream, because I believe in you. In today's 2-minute manner, we learn the Quran teaches both Muslim men and women to dress modestly, but the interpretation of what modesty means is left up to the discretion of each individual. There's about 6 verses out of 6,000 total verses in the Quran that specifically touch on how a woman should dress in public. The clearest verse in the Quran on the requirement of modest dress is Surah 24:31, telling women to guard their private parts and cover their bosoms. 2-minute manna begins now. Surah 24:31 in the Quran says, "And say to the believing women that they should lower their gaze and guard their private parts, that they should not display their beauty and ornaments except what must ordinarily appear thereof, that they should draw their kamar over their breasts and not display their beauty except to their husband, or their fathers, their husband's sons, their brothers, or their brother's sons, or their sister's sons, or their women, or the slaves whom the right hands possess, or male servants free from physical needs, or small children who have no sense of the shame of sex, and that they should not strike their feet in order to draw attention to their hidden ornaments." And now, my take. A hijab is a type of veil worn by many Muslim women when they're around any man outside of their immediate family. The veil, or the hijab, usually covers the head and chest. The hijab can refer to any head, face, or body covering worn by Muslim women that conforms to Islamic standards of modesty. But according to the book Woman and Gender in Islam, written by Layla Ahmed, veiling did not originate with the advent of Islam. Although Islam is what we most associate with the hijab, statuettes depicting veiled priestesses precede all major Abrahamic religions, dating back as far as 2500 BCE. Elite women in ancient Mesopotamia and in Byzantine, Greek, and Persian empires wore the veil as a sign of respectability and high status. There's often controversy that surrounds the hijab. Since 9/11, and in the last 4 years, the hijab has been banned, not just in many countries in Europe, but in many countries in the Muslim world. They've passed laws banning some or all types of the hijab in public. Saudi Arabia continues to buck that trend and has been requiring by law the wearing of hijabs by women. According to a Pew Research Center survey, among the roughly 1 million Muslim women living in the U.S., 43% regularly wear headscarves, while about a half do not cover their hair. In another Pew Research Center poll, 36% of Muslim American women reported wearing a hijab whenever they were in public, with an additional 24% saying they wear it most or some of the time, while 40% say they never wear the head cover. In all, there are 22 different types of hijabs. We tried to find one photographic portrayal, just one, of the Virgin Mary, where she's not depicted, if not wearing a hijab, at least a headscarf or a veil. Now, my take is, although part of the job of the hijab may be to hide beauty, all I see is beauty, whether it be the colorful creative materials from which they are made, or the eyes that peer out of the hijab, providing the window into the soul. All I see is beauty. I see beauty in all 22 types of hijabs, and in all the 22 trillion different reasons for which they are probably worn, not least of which is the beautiful Muslim religion. Many of us go around using words such as equity and inclusion. Maybe the hijab reflects Dr. Martin Luther King's most ardent dream, that we be judged by the content of our character, not by the color, material, or fabric of our hijab. Todd Barnes reporting.
Together villager Ruth Anderson writes in, "Hey Todd, I didn't get a chance to see this until this morning, Tuesday. Thanks for highlighting Chicago. My son, daughter, and grandkids are there, so I prayed about them a lot. This is a wonderful day brightener for me. I'm up in northern Minnesota for 2 weeks, and this is definitely an area of the Midwest that needs your message. People here are resilient, but have always been socially isolated due to the climate and rural economics. The one thing I would say is, why spoil this video with the ugly clippings of Trump? People aren't usually born with morbid obesity. And he was not born into poverty like Judge Clarence Thomas. I saw his life story last night on TV. And I have the original Trump picture that came out 5 years ago. It has a young woman behind him urging him to consider women's rights, and she can't see his reaction. Ruth from Minnesota. And then Jay from Minnesota writes, "Good morning, Todd. When I'm able to pause and listen to what I'm about to say to someone, or what I'm saying to myself, it's clear that I have a choice. But when I don't pause, when I don't check in on my intent, when I react rather than respond, then my words create what James describes as disorder and every evil practice. I'm grateful that God is still lovingly creating me through a renewing of my mind, and I'm learning a new language that creates a deep sense of peace and compassion and forgiveness for others and for myself. I see now the power that words have, and that I've been encouraged that my words can be guided by the Holy Spirit, and that this new language has the power to heal and overcome, to create something new, and to love." John chapter 1 opens with, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made. In him was life, and that life was the light of all mankind. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." These are words, and words have the power to create. I'm so grateful that you continue to pour yourself into your daily sharing. Your willingness to offer yourself in this fun, musical, and creative way is a bright spot in my day. Your illuminating, creative, and hopeful words both encourage and challenge me. You give me a lovely piece of the day that I carry, and I'll continue to be a grateful citizen of Together. With warm gratitude, Jay. Well, Ruth and Jay, it's I who have the privilege of spending time with you in the mornings. And for that, I'm grateful right here on Together TV. You know, it's my hope that whether we use humor or love or metaphor or long-style reporting here at Together, even when it means poking fun at the President of the United States, that we do so with no ill intent in our heart. Usually we're just trying to get a cheap laugh or a simple, fun time to keep our morning going. And now, it's time for us to get going and to start our day. And as we do so, if you have a dream that you put on ice, we want you to pick it up, dust it off, and give it a kiss, and resuscitate it by putting it on one of those ventilators that President Trump and son-in-law Jared Kushner were gracious enough to let some of the shithole countries, and yes, even some of the shithole states, not mentioning any names, Wisconsin, use during some of the most challenging, darkest moments in our nation, surviving